Hey everyone, and welcome to a new episode of RCT1 Scenarios But Awful. In today's episode I'm going to tackle the classic scenario Dynamite Dunes. Now here it says, built in the middle of the desert, this theme park contains just one roller coaster but has space for expansion. Now I've tried to come up with some good ideas to make this park awful, and then I thought to myself, what if the park was overrun with bandits who made their own hideout over here and use their own ways to make the guests' lives here miserable. Now I have some funny ideas for that, which you will see during this episode. Now the first thing I'm going to do is make this park into a fortification, so I will first work on a fence for around the park and a nice entrance. Alright, we're now almost 2 years into the scenario, and the bandits have constructed a wall around Dynamite Dunes. You can see it, it's just this rusty texture, also with a wooden fence around it, a path running along the entire length, and several guard towers around, which I tried to make look menacing with some of these bones from the prehistoric set around. Now each guard tower also has a bandit jumping around in it. Now I've also put some rubble around the wall here and there, also put some patchwork on it to make it look like it has been repaired several times. And here you can see the entrance gate. Now it consists of 2 doors, of which one is opened. And here right next to the door you can also see a cage that is suspended above the ground here with a poor guest inside. And we will probably see a few more of those in the park. Now what I will work on next here is a town for the bandits. Alright, several hours of building and one failed scenario later, we now have a nice little bandit town. Now there's quite a lot to unpack here, so let's get started. Here in the corner I made a little prison. Now as you can see it's not really spelled correctly, but you don't become a bandit by doing very well at school. So kids, go do your homework or something. Now over here we have a saloon. Basically just a restaurant building, and it sells salty fries. Now of course this is the Dynamite Dunes but awful, so you can see a lot of guests having thought that they're very thirsty, and that's probably going to stay this way. Over here is a little market where guests can buy some barrels or some other ancient Egyptian junk that was found here in the lands of Dynamite Dunes. There's also some cages in here. This one has a guest in it, and this one for some reason has an elephant. And there's also some other junk for sale here, like some chests, more barrels, or some guests. So that would be great if you want your own guest for at home. Now over here is a little pit where some guests are running around like crazy, and they're being chased by a tiger. And there's some bandits watching for their entertainment. And finally here we have a little square, just some random buildings. I might copy and paste these around here a few more times. Over here we have some gallows, of course. And here's the boss man's office. There's a big cattle skull, and here's another one of those cages with another poor guest walking around in here slowly. Right, yeah, that's the Bandit Town for now. And the next thing I want to work on is Dynamite Blaster. Now, Dynamite Blaster, if you forward the game a lot, you will often find several trains stuck at the bottom here. I think it will be pretty funny to actually have a few trains just waiting here at the bottom. And yeah, what I want to make is to have a few trains here stuck at the bottom. And I'll have another bypass track, which just bypasses this entire section of the track and just is a shortcut back to the station. Alright, several explosions later, we now have 2 trains stuck here at the bottom. And these guys are rocking their car around for some reason. Not sure what's happening here. And this other train is now just going around on a little bypass track. And it goes underground here and then back to the station. Now, for some reason, some of these guys don't really want to ride Dynamite Blaster anymore. I really don't see why. But what I do think is funny is that it still has these pretty insane stats. Alright, what this attraction is still missing, of course, is a nice looking station. So that's what I'm going to give it now. Okay, Dynamite Blaster now has a nice station. Also decorated it with some stuff around it, some more TNT. Now, how the bandits would probably use this ride is that the guests see this part of the coaster, so they would go here, they would pay to go on the coaster, and they would expect to do all of this track over here. But from the station they don't actually see this little bypass here, and that's what the train actually uses. It's the perfect crime. Now, the park now only has one functional ride, and we're in year 5. This is probably something I didn't explain yet. Here's a little TNT train, so it just has a station here inside these mines, and a station here in the TNT shop, and it just drives back and forth. It goes pretty fast here, it just races through town. So guests should really watch out when they are walking around here. But yeah, we should probably have another ride here in the Bandit Town. And something which I think the bandits can use is a little watchtower, so they can see if any law enforcement people are coming their way. Alright, here you can see the new observation tower. I tried to make it look a little bit more menacing with these bones around. And here you can see it leave the station. It's not your average observation tower. Yeah, maybe it's even a little bit too fast for the tower that supports it. But it does make it safely back to the ground again. Here you can see the ride stats, which I totally did not edit, I promise. But yeah, I thought this would be fitting in a park like this. Alright, the next ride that I want to add, I think I'm going to make it somewhere over here. You can ignore these entertainers. And the next ride that I want to add, I think it will be fun to make another one of those bungee jump rides. But rather than suspending the guests safely above something soft, let's try to dangle them into something nasty. Okay, here we have the new bungee jump ride. I've made this tower here. There's this beam extending from it. And you can see a guest suspended from here. and he gets dipped down several times. And the guests who ride it, I guess they will come out slightly singed. Not really sure if that's the wisest thing to do in a park where no liquids are being sold. I'm not really sure why this guest is, or where this guest suddenly is coming from. I probably forgot to do something with the shoestring vehicles. I think it's time to add another ride to the park, and now I think I will add something more serious. And that's a nice and calm game of mini golf. I have now created a nice and relaxing game of mini golf for the guests. Now the guests start over here in this building. Let me actually open the ride. The guests start over here in this little building, and then first there's 3 holes right here in the Bandit Town. And then after that the guests step through the gate, and then they step into the wild unknown. And throughout the desert here I've put another, I don't know how many holes I put. I tried counting them, but I lost count every time. Maybe I would make a good bandit myself. Now this may look a little bit weird with the path having this color, but that's because I'm going to use the ride editor plugin. Let's see if I can find the desert golf ride. There we go. Apply selected change. And I'm going to change everything with the main color scheme, so that's this color. I'm going to change that to a different ride type, which is invisible. I'll just choose the lift. And let's do apply selected changes. I could actually also do visibility, but I'll just change the ride type. And there we go. Now all these sections have been made invisible, and only the mini golf holes remain. Now let's see if someone has already decided to ride it. There we go. There's our first volunteer. Now all the guests seem to be thirsty, and they need to go to the toilet. So I think I'm going to add a little pool of water somewhere in the park for the thirstiest guests. And maybe the park can also use a toilet. Okay, I've added 3 more things to the park. Well, first here, the park now finally has some toilets. I call them thorny toilets, and you'll see why when you see the path that guests have to take to actually get to these toilets. It's probably not the most comfy path to walk. Over here in the corner I added another ride called the Final Drink. So all these thirsty guests, they can go here in the corner, enter the Final Drink, and then they can get some refreshment. But there's one condition, and that's that they will be thrown into this pool with no way to get out. So I guess this just is only for the most desperate of guests who really want something to drink. Now, and finally I added some decoration here. Here's a little excavation site where you can see how some of the bandits are carefully excavating this ancient ruin here. Alright, then we have a little bit of space remaining in the park, and I think we can add a nice second water ride here. Alright, the park now has a beautiful river rapids ride. Now, one thing that the bandits did forget is to actually fill up the ride with water, something which they don't really have a lot of, so that's why they just kept it like this. The guests, they don't seem to mind though, they will just get into the ride, and after a while they will just get out of their vehicles. So yeah, probably not the most exciting of river rapids, but you could say it still functions somewhat. Alright, I think I've added all the attractions that I wanted to add in the park. So now I'm going to do some final detailing, and I'm also going to add the final entertainers to the park. Okay, I've added 60 entertainers to the park, and I've added lots more details throughout. Now I'm first going to name all these 60 entertainers after my patrons, and after that we'll do a tour through the park. Alright, all patrons have made it into the park as an entertainer. Now I've selected all these spots or these names at random. So for the people who ended up in a cage or getting chased by a tiger, I am truly sorry. Although I do think it's funny how Mr. Proudpaw ended up being a tiger. Now once again, thanks a lot for the support. It really means a lot to me. And yeah, if you want to find your spot in the park, you can download this park from my Discord server. Alright, the Bandit version of Dynamite Dunes is completed. I think it will be fun to take a little tour through the park. And we'll start, of course, with the entrance. Now, over here, I made this big gate. It also has a cage here that's suspended with a guest inside. I also made several of these guard towers around the park with some of these pointy bones around them. Over here in the corner we have a prison. Now there is actually a guest inside of it. Over here we have a saloon, but the saloon only sells salty fries and doesn't actually sell any drinks. Over here we have a TNT shop, and every now and then a train will pass by and which travels across this path at pretty high speed and goes through the shop, apparently to load a new load of TNT, after which it races through town again and back into the mines. So yeah, it's definitely something to watch out for when you're walking around here in the town. Now over here in the middle we have this market where several goods are sold, like ancient Egyptian ruins, some barrels, some guests, and also an elephant. Now over here we have an observation tower, and as you can see this is actually a launched observation tower, and the tower may not actually be tall enough. Now here in the middle we have a little pit where several of these guests are getting chased by tigers, and some of these bandits are standing around watching, as this is apparently their form of entertainment. Here's some more bandit houses that have no function. Here's the boss man's office, a big building with a huge cattle skull, and also another one of these cages suspended from it. Some gallows in front. Now over here we have the mini golf of the park. I actually made the guests a little bit slower for this ride. So here we have some holes around this big burning pit, and after these first 3 holes, the guests actually venture out into the desert, where they'll find the rest of the holes. So yeah, we can see one of these brave guests walking around here in search of the next mini golf hole, which is I think somewhere around here. I gave all these holes some bushes, some dead trees around. But yeah, I also froze the temperature at 31 degrees Celsius, so this is most likely not a very pleasant experience for the guests. And here you can see several more of these holes which have been scattered throughout the desert. You can see several more of these brave and foolish guests. Alright, for guests that want to go to the toilet, there's just one toilet in the park. And to get there, the guests have to go through this thorny trail, a thorny toilet trail. So yeah, this trail here starts with some cacti. Then there's these thorn bushes which the guests have to go through. There's some carnivorous plants around here. Then some more thorny bushes, more cacti, etc. So yeah, it's quite a trial to actually get to these toilets. And then after that, the guests, of course, also have to get back again. Over here we have the river rapids of the park, but yeah, the bandits actually forgot to fill it with water. So the boats just sit here, and the guests who enter this ride also just sit here. But it looks like they're actually having quite a lot of fun. Right, here's of course the classic Dynamite Blaster. Although these guests here, or the first two trains, actually have been stuck here for quite a while. And all the time this train has been doing this weird motion. I guess these guests never get sick of it. And the third train still continues on Dynamite Blaster, although it follows a bit of a safer track. You can see it go around here, and it just bypasses this section where it would otherwise just get stuck. Not really sure if it's still as exciting, but looks like the stats of the ride didn't actually change. Right, here's another ride of the park. This is the ride I called BBQ Bungee. So guests are suspended here from this beam. They can walk the plank to actually get here. They're suspended from this beam, and then they're dropped down several times into this burning pit here. And with some luck, they still come out alive. But they'll probably have a few less hairs than when they started. Right, and then we arrive here at the back of the park. Here I made a little excavation site, where the bandits carefully excavate some of these ancient ruins, probably to sell them at the market. And this is the only place where the guests can get a drink. It's called the final drink. And whenever guests enter this ride, they can have a drink in this little pond here. But there's one condition, and that's that if you decide to get a drink here, you will never be able to get out of the pit. Kinda reminds me of The Sims, with pools without any ladders to climb out. Alright, that was Dynamite Dunes, but awful. I tried to make it awful in a bit of a different way than my Forest Frontiers video. I think I succeeded. It was a lot of fun to make this, and I'll probably make another one of these videos pretty soon. Alright, hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked this video, please hit that like button. It would really be appreciated. And of course, if you want to see more of these videos, you can always subscribe. Alright, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.